Before we begin, we want to give a big shout out to our friends and family who supported us throughout this trip, including
our personal families.
Yeah.
And then my colleagues and my friends over at the Maplewood Nature Center. Thank you so much.
We're going to be answering 3 questions that come up a lot. And the first one that everybody wants to know about is...
pretty much, how did we feel when we first left home? So I guess I'll start off. I wasn't really emotional up until the day that we left. Although I do have to admit that I did cry at my work party at the Maplewood Nature Center like a baby. But but besides that, I wasn't really emotional until I had to say goodbye to some of the family members that we stayed with. So at the time, we were staying with Chua's brother and his family, and Chua's mother was living there too. We have some nieces and nephews that live there, so when they were getting ready to go to school, they said goodbye to us before they left, and I was crying. So that's like the first time that I cried with like family. And later, our sister-in-law and our other niece, she's 3, we basically like helped raise her too, so she's like our child at heart. So when we were saying bye to them, I was like just crying too. I couldn't hold it back anymore. And the weird thing too is that Chua's mom goes to like an adult like recreational day activity
adult
center.
Daycare.
Yeah, and she didn't say goodbye to us, not a single word, just left. Like, they came to pick her up and she just left, and I looked out the window and I was like, what? She didn't say anything to us, and the same with Chua's brother. So I mean, people have different ways of coping with, you know, that kind of emotion. So
well, we've been telling everybody that we've been wanting to leave for months. Since like August. So they pretty much got fed up with us, I guess you can say that.
Fed up.
And they're like, hey, when are these people gonna leave?
I don't know if it was fed up. It was more like they weren't taking us seriously anymore.
They said their goodbyes like weeks and weeks before already, and every single day that passed, it was just... They were like, you know, they're still here. Yeah, so for me, I wasn't like emotional or anything because it was such a delayed departure. Yeah. We had many parties before we left. Yeah. A lot of people ask me, how come I'm not emotional? Aren't I gonna miss them? I'm like, you know, if I was to cry at every single one of you, I'd be crying like 30 times now. And, you know, like I held myself back and I was keeping myself level-headed. At the end of the night, I go back home, I sleep, and I think about it.
Well, and somebody said too, I guess the thing is that, you know, we have something to look forward to because we're leaving, but everybody else, they're kind of losing, you know, part of the family. So I get that's why they were more sad.
Well, actually, I think the most emotional part for me was when my oldest brother came to visit.
Oh, yeah, and we didn't even plan that goodbye.
It wasn't planned,
it was
but
perfect
then, like,
timing.
I didn't tell him anything about this trip, and I think he was waiting for me to talk to him about it and everything, but it kind of just worked out.
We gave him a tour.
We gave him a tour of the RV, and I think he was proud of us in a way.
And you know, the funny thing too was that, like, Chua's mom was trying to, I feel like, get the older brother on her side to convince us to stay, and he was just like, you guys are good, pretty much. And I was like,
yeah. As the oldest brother, it was like his okay was like, it meant a lot to us. When we were like leaving for the very first time, driving off, I was very nervous. I was kind of scared. I was like, you know, even though we drove the RV from North Carolina to Minnesota, we bought a new car, so like I didn't know how I was gonna do with it on the highway and everything. So we kind of just chanced it, and it turned out we were okay. We did great. But yeah, moving on. We left that place in early October, but after a day of driving, we finally got to our campsite. No, we're gonna pause right here and actually go for a hike. We might answer that question up there if she's not out of breath.
Okay. Why me?
Let's go! But where are you taking us? Okay, so what did you think about the first campsite that we stayed at?
I couldn't believe how beautiful it was. And when we got there, I was like, this is free? Because we didn't have to make any reservations. There was only one other van there. And we were just clueless. We're like, are we violating something?
Oh yeah.
What'd you think?
Besides those bullet holes on the bathroom doors, pit toilets.
Oh yeah.
And besides trying to not look dumb in front of those other people, setting up, you know, and everything.
Yeah.
I think it was a great first stop. But then there's pros and cons to everything though.
Of course.
Right?
Yep.
What's one of the pros?
One of the pros, it was really quiet and there was a lot of wildlife there. Back in Minnesota, it was really cold already, so by the time we got to Lake Bayer in South Dakota, the birds started migrating down there, so you could hear them singing. I saw a lot of sandhill cranes flying over too. It actually snowed on us when we got there. Okay, not when we got there. It was
next
like
day.
The day after we got there, and it was like a big hyped snowstorm. We weren't prepared. Well, we were trying to be prepared. We went to go fill up our propane tanks, but then it turned out they were already full. When we got to the shop, the guy's like, these are full.
Embarrassing.
Do you remember when you had to get onto the roof?
Oh, when it snowed, like 6 inches?
Yep.
We had to wipe all that off. Since we had a pop-up tent with that 6 inches, it's probably like, what, 200 pounds on top of that?
That's a lot of weight.
So, yeah, we wiped it off. We did it 2 days in a row, right?
Yeah.
And then, I didn't expect that. Had my thermal pants on, no sweatpants. Can't believe I didn't bring any sweatpants. Crazy. It is what it is. But Cora, come on. Wait, watch your step. Now the folks want to know, how long did it take us to be comfortable camping like we do?
So what we mean by comfortable is having our whole routine down. So that means setting up the RV, getting it ready to move to a new location, and then when we get to that new location, setting up all the chocks and all that, and like rearranging everything back inside. We had to learn how to see how much food and water we needed, and then also how much power we were using.
Another thing was leaving the RV behind. We were always paranoid that stuff would get stolen, breaking into, stealing our dogs. The most important thing, for me at least, was just driving in general. Backing up. I mean, driving in general was never a big problem for me, but I mean, it took a little time backing that thing up. You know, like reversing and everything. It was a problem at first, I have to admit that.
You know who had to back up in the beginning?
Not you.
Me.
We really started getting comfortable when we got to your favorite city.
Lake Havasu?
Yeah.
Yeah, that place felt like our first home on the road, away from home. And we stayed there for the full 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
It was really convenient. Walmart was just up the road. We got food and water from there. We actually set up the awning. The dogs loved running everywhere. We had a big space, like away from everybody.
Yeah, it was everybody. A nice space.
Yeah.
The conveniency, like, kind of slowed everything down.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to like settle in, just do us instead of like looking to travel all the time. It was like a reboot.
Yeah.
In a way. I think that site was like 10 or 12 sites in.
2,500 miles.
2,500 miles
away
that we
from
traveled.
Minnesota.
Yeah. It took us longer than expected getting comfortable. I think we had like some circumstances that we had to get through.
What were some of
well,
them?
Lake Byre at the very beginning, like the unexpected 6 inches of snow. It's crazy. Then we went to Badlands.
The winds, oh my gosh.
Crazy. We like rocking. That was like 50 miles an hour winds,
Yeah,
but you know, we
it's
survived.
insane.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Traveling through Wyoming was awesome. Like, we loved the people there. That Walmart there everybody was super nice.
Was it like Cheyenne?
Yeah, Cheyenne. We eventually made it to Grey Rocks, and we had some company.
There were 2 big cows that hung out with us like the whole time we were there.
They didn't want us to leave us alone.
No, they
There's like
did
acres
not.
and acres of land. They just wanted to be by us.
Well, my sister kept joking that we parked right on top of their lunch. There was one night we just heard something like rub against the RV, or we heard a sound outside. And when we shined our flashlights outside, we saw some glowing eyes. And we kept hearing this noise, and I didn't know what it was. And so we were paranoid for a really long time. Saw these eyes in the distance. Finally, later that night, I looked out, and there was a cow. One of the cows, like 5 feet away.
I was never scared.
So, yeah, that noise was it was just the cows munching on grass at like 12 at night. They were really, really big, and Cora doesn't know better. She would try to attack them and get
Cora
stomped
was
on.
trying to attack him. Our RV is so small where I feel like those 2 cows, if they wanted to, they could flip it over if they tried.
And Twin Lakes.
Twin Lakes. It was like 1 degree. 1 degree.
Well, but then the wind chill made it feel like -15, -20 or something like that.
I don't even know how we survived that place. Like 30 degrees, 40 degrees, now it was like cold as heck.
But it was nice because since it was cold, we were like the only ones out there.
Yeah.
Basically.
Okay, then we got to San Luis. Right across from the Great Sand Dunes, right?
Yep.
It was $42 a year, free electricity, a dump station.
Dumpsters.
Dumpsters, yeah. With that convenience of the free electricity and everything, we were missing something in our lives, so we went and got a puppy. That's when we got Archer. Being the only ones there, we were able to like walk him, slowly introduce Cora to him.
Even though she still hated him.
Yeah.
For a while. Still does.
And then we got to New Mexico, and that whole state was all about taking care of Archer.
Yes, it
Potty
was.
training. That guy can
Oh my
run
gosh.
for days nonstop.
So then after we had Archer for a few weeks, he ate a cholla cactus ball. We tried to get it out at first, but he had all these little spines out of his mouth and in his paws, and then he panicked, so that little ball just went deeper.
The more we try to help,
and
the
deeper
more
into his.
we just try to swallow
Oh gosh, it sounded like we were torturing him because we were pulling him out and we were like, "This is bad." So
it. We took him to the ER in Yuma, passing our first ever immigration checkpoint. That was pretty nerve-wracking, right?
yeah,
But then that went fine. Archer survived,
obviously.
but then something else happened that we had to.
Yeah, so we talked about this in another video. I can put it over here somewhere. But anyway, I had like really bad asthma. We ended up going to the ER for me.
And then from there, we finally made it to Lake Havasu. Everything slowed down, no problems. Puppy was older. We were able to just enjoy ourselves for the first time, really.
Yeah.
Heading over to the London Bridge, introducing Archer to other dogs and people, which he was beloved. Took us 2 months, and it's whatever. We're doing fine now. We're
still learning.
We're
but...
like pros now. I'm a pro now.
Okay.
We're just chilling. We have friends now.
We have friends now.
Okay, since then, we've met a few people
Yeah.
that we consider really good friends now. No, we're living pretty good.
We've obviously learned a lot since the beginning, and we're still learning, but we're doing what we can.
We're fine. I don't think we miss home at all. No, we miss everybody a lot, and we're looking forward to coming home.
And then leaving again.
My home.
Like, subscribe, comment.
And don't listen to her.
What? We'll see you next time.
Don't listen to
We're out. Go turn it off now.
Don't listen to her. Listen to me. Like, subscribe, and comment. Anyway.